Hello there once again to another Iceberg Explained video. This time it's about the scary and unexplained mysteries in human history. To explain how these go once again, the tip of the iceberg is the most well-known stuff, and it becomes more obscure as it goes down. We have to explain all of it.
Thank you, Josh. As he forgot to mention that was his own name, I'm Kammy, by the way. And for those who enjoy gaming content, maybe check out our new Saints Row video, as there's a lot of work put into it to make it ready for upload. We hope it stays enjoyable, and we really hope you like the video. Malaysia Flight 370 disappeared on 8th of March 2014 after departing from the Kuala Lumpur for Beijing. 227 passengers and 12 crew members on board. The plane was on course and cut communications with air traffic control and took a U-turn and went off course. From what I remember, there were searches through the Indian Ocean for the plane, but it was never found. However, scraps of it were found on a beach in St. Andre, Reunion.
There's so many myths, series, and even movies based off of just this one man. He is the infamous D.B Cooper. Some may have just heard his name more than actually know what he's done to be famous to begin with. He's iconic just for his ability and success to hijack a Boeing 727 aircraft. During this escapade, he managed to collect $200,000 in ransom, which to people nowadays is still a lot, but that amount in today's standards, as this has happened in 1971, will be over $1 million. And this dude's never been caught either. He parachuted off and would never be seen again. No matter how long the manhunts lasted, no one was ever able to find the man that used the name Dan Cooper. Now, some people suspect him of being Loki, the Norse god of mischief.
The bloop was an ultra-low frequency, high-amplitude underwater sound detected in the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Early speculation said it was the sound from a marine animal, which would make sense. However, NOAA said the sound was consistent with noises being made by a non-tectonic cryoseism, which, despite looking at the Wikipedia page of, I have no idea what that means.
Okay, I love this one. I really love Bigfoot, otherwise known as the Sasquatch. This fuzzy boy has been a legend for literally hundreds of years now. So some people think that this mystical thing could actually be the missing link between ape and man, while others think it's just a massive wild man covered in hair. Others, it's a totally unique species altogether. It's generally believed that it comes from general folklore about a giant hairy animal mixed with misidentification and hoaxes that led people to believe in the Bigfoot as it's known today. Well, some that want to take a more scientific approach to figuring out what the heck a Sasquatch could be is that they think it could be a descendant of the Gigantopithecus. And a part of this famous urban legend is that there's even other branches of Bigfoots like the Yetis or the Swamp Apes. This stuff goes so deep, it's honestly amazing. A sad and growing theory though is that they used to be real but have sadly died off. And if that's the case, rest in peace Bigfoot, we miss you.
WebDriver Torso was a YouTube automated performance test account used by Google to test YouTube. Make sense? It became famous due to the speculation of what it may have been. The channel uploaded many videos of random blue and red rectangles with high and low pitched sounds. Some of them had jokes in them, like this beauty. Also, if you Google WebDriver Torso, the Google logo changes to look like the videos on the channel, which is cool. Very cool.
This appeared only to be found in a water tank. The death of Eliza Lam, also known by her Cantonese name, Lam Ho Yi, sadly had to be another death than one that many would remember. This 21-year-old woman was listed as missing on January 31st in 2013, not even a decade ago from when this video was recorded. The last time she was seen was within an elevator she exited but then re-entered after seemingly gesturing in the hallway. She would then hide within the elevator as it began to seemingly malfunction. Some theorize as an effect from her bipolar disorder that she took medication for, as in the hiding. She had a blog where she would talk about it along with her depression and other mental health problems. But she wouldn't be found alive again after the elevator footage. Her body was found naked in a water tank above the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, with her clothes and personal effects in the water next to her. The only reason her body was even found was because of guests complaining about the water supply and water pressure. The autopsy report could even manage to find evidence of physical trauma, listing her death as accidental. No one knows how she even managed to get in the water tank because of how it was made. And although this death was reported as an accident, we all advocate for getting any type of help with mental health if needed.
The babushka lady was an unidentified lady who was at the JFK assassination. Many have speculated whether she was related to the crime or not. Police said due to her placement, she very possibly could have seen Lee Harvey Oswald. What's eerie about her, to me, is the fact that while everyone is panicking, she keeps completely calm in every photo that you see of her, unnerved by it entirely. Oh. It's also worth noting, a few people have came forward to say that they were her, but it was proved that they weren't.
Be excited for what was potentially written by a man named Roger Bacon. This is the Voynich manuscript, a codex. A codex that I may mention was carbon dated all the way back to the early 15th century. A girl mystery that excited public imagination. Oh, what could be written on it? Novels has even been written about this thing, but it potentially means nothing. I just like that the speculation that a guy named Roger Bacon might have wrote it. I just think that's a fantastic name. I respect Roger Bacon. Unless he did something bad, in which case I obviously don't.
Jack the Ripper was an unknown serial killer who was active in the poor areas in the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. Attacks linked towards Jack the Ripper usually involved female prostitutes who lived and worked in the slums of East End London. One thing he'd do was cut their throats prior to abdominal mutilations. Precise removal of internal organs from at least 3 victims led people to believe he had a surgical background.
A lot of people may not know what the Zodiac Killer even actually did to be infamous in the first place, but this deranged psycho got his name from the cards and letters that he would send to press in the San Francisco Bay Area, as they would include ciphers and cryptograms. He has 5 confirmed victims, and his true identity was never discovered.
Despite the name Vitalis Hum, this strange sound can be heard in many parts of our world. The story in Tao specifically follows that since the 90s, residents and visitors of the place reported hearing constant low-frequency buzzing or rumbling noise. It's been described as a faint droning sound, similar to an engine idling in the distance. It never stops, it interferes with sleep, and is more noticeable at night and indoors. No source for the hum has ever been identified.
Swimming at the Cheviot Beach in Victoria, this Australian Prime Minister was never found and is presumed to have drowned. This is Harold Holt. He only had 2 years in office since his disappearance was in December of 1967, and he was only elected in January of 1966. Out of this, theories were spawned about him faking his own death, but if it isn't, Harold Holt was acknowledged as loving the ocean, so at least he isn't in a place he hated. People take stuff for headaches, and in 1982 people died for wanting to do that. In the Chicago metropolitan area, 7 victims took Tylenol, not knowing that it was laced with cyanide. And no suspect was ever convicted or charged for this. But on the positive side, one a very negative thing, it thankfully led to a reform in the packaging of over-the-counter substances.
Cicada 3301 is the nickname given to an organisation that on 3 different occasions has posted a set of puzzles to recruit hackers and code breakers from the public. The puzzles focus heavily on data security, cryptography, steganography, and internet anonymity. As I'm writing this, I know I'm going to struggle with that sentence, which I totally did. I actually retook that one a few times. You might be asking about now, what was the purpose for recruiting these chick magnets? Well, it's not entirely clear. Some say it's to improve cryptography, privacy, and anonymity on the internet. Others claimed it's a cult of religion.
Now, we all hallucinate daily, even if we don't remember it. Don't remember that happening? I'm not lying, they're just called dreams. You might have also predicted that I was going to say that, because I feel like that's probably been mentioned before like that, but you know. But nobody really knows why we dream. What's the purpose of dreaming? Like many things in life, people just aren't sure. One of life's biggest mysteries, really. We're left with simple theories. Research does show, however, that it helps us store memories. Even on that though, we don't understand it, we don't know how it does. On the other side of the dream spectrum, nightmares help us deal with emotions and memories, normally caused by anxiety and stress. Knowing how high everyone's anxiety and stress been up for everyone this year, and last obviously, I'm kind of curious if we hit a record on recorded nightmares now. Because that would be kind of a... I don't know, it just feels fitting, you know? After everything that's happened.
The WOW signal was a strong narrowband radio signal that was received on August 15, 1977 by Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope used to support research of extraterrestrial life. The signal appeared to come from the general direction of the constellation Sagittarius. I'm really not good at my lines today. As a way of dumbing this down, for both my sake and yours, and please correct me if I'm wrong, scientists believe that if we were to be given a sign of extraterrestrial life, it'd be from a frequency matching hydrogen. As life on Earth is abundant of hydrogen, the frequency we received was matching hydrogen. Spooky.
Lost media is when any media is lost. No, duh! It could be anything from a lost old painting or a only once aired TV show or movie. An example of a lost movie being the Lost John Wayne, otherwise known as a bigoted prick, movie, The Oregon Trail, or the 1927 film London After Midnight. A lot of these things are lost either because of fires or just lack of interest. And in the long run, some things just degrade, meaning it's lost for all time.
A number station is a shortwave radio station believed to be addressed to intelligence officers operating in foreign countries. It's been long speculated that these stations operate as a foolproof method for a government to communicate with spies undercover. According to this theory, the messages heard are encrypted with a one-time pad, which is an encryption technique that can't be cracked, as they use a one-use key to decode the message. They use this to avoid risk of decryption by enemies. Wicked.
One of Los Angeles' oldest unsolved cases, no one found who killed Black Dahlia, or as she was known during life, Elizabeth Short. It's also known for how gruesome it was. The person who discovered her body believed her to just be a lost mannequin since she was left naked and was severed by the waist and drained of her blood, leaving her painfully white. Pieces of her own flesh were cut off and she was given a Glasgow smile. Adding to the mannequin effect, her corpse was even posed. The idea of it just by imagining it is haunting, and it does haunt people's imagination to this very day.
The Black Knight is a nice hunk of space debris that many UFO conspiracy theorists believe is an alien satellite orbiting our Earth, that NASA's keeping a secret from the public. Well, I'd love for this to be true, as it'd make my day job more exciting. It simply isn't. Space journalist, what job title by the way, James Oberg considers it as a probable debris of a thermal blanket confirmed as lost during the mission. What mission?
People have heard of dancing fever, a fun term people use when they're just enjoying themselves dancing, but in 1518 they had the fatal version, the dancing plague. In what is now modern day France, dancing mania made 50 to 400 people dance all the way to their death, killing 15 people a day. Modern hypotheses include food poisoning, but that has been disputed, and another hypothesis includes stress-induced mass hysteria. Regardless, it's one of the most unique ways to go out, as dark as it is.
On November 22nd, 1987, the television broadcasts of two different stations in Chicago were hijacked by a video of an unknown person wearing a Max Headroom mask, along with some lovely distorted audio. The first incident lasted 25 seconds, and the second one lasted around 90 seconds. Hacker referenced Max Headroom's endorsements of Coca-Cola, the show Clutch Cargo, WGN anchor Chuck Swirsky, and all the greatest world newspaper nerds. A corrugated panel swiveled back and forth, mimicking Headroom's geometric background effect. The video ended with an exposed ass being spanked with a fly swatter. The culprits were never found.
Sometimes when people become lost, they just don't come back, at least not for a long time. This so far has been the case with Jennifer Kess. She went missing in Florida for over 15 years. She was last seen driving home from work at 6 p.m. and then was her boyfriend at 10 p.m. on January 23rd in 2006. The police interrogated many people that she knew, but after too many alibis, the abductor became harder to track. Was the person of interest of her kidnapping having no footage of him with a clear look on his face? He's been labeled the luckiest person of interest ever.
Spider Rain. Holy shit. Just when I thought Australia couldn't be any worse, spider rain is an occurrence in what's known as mass ballooning. Tiny spider fucks use silk strands to catch air currents as a way to find a new home. This one's making my skin feel all itchy just looking into. I'll link a National Geographic page all about this phenomenon in the description.
So if you're a fan of dogs, you might want to go ahead and skip this one because it's a really dang rough one to hear if you are, especially if you may have a pet at home. So, to continue, this is about the Overtown Bridge, and the reason why I gave the warning is because at this place there's a lot of unexplained dog deaths. For unexplained reasons, on this bridge, dogs just keep jumping to their death. It sounds nightmaric, but it just keeps happening. No one can say why. There's theories on it like the surrounding foliage giving the steep drop an appearance of even ground mixed with potential mink urine. Others say it's paranormal. A dad even tried to throw his 2-week-old son off of it because he thought it was the devil. It's hard to read about.
The Solway First Baseman has always been one of my favourite stories, and if you don't know, I'll clue you in. Back in 1964, local historian Jim Templeton was out with his wife and daughter at the Burg Marsh, overlooking the Solway Firth. Templeton claimed that when he was taking the photo, he couldn't see anyone behind his daughter in the viewfinder. Even Kodak said the photo wasn't tampered with. In recent years, however, the image has been explained. The viewfinder in the camera he used was cropped, meaning he wouldn't be able to see what was behind him. And what about the astronaut? Yeah, that's just his wife facing away. This is one of the entries where I didn't actually know the resolution. I kind of like the mystery of it better.
A man locks into a bar and he doesn't come back out and is never seen again. Brian Schaefer disappeared on April Fool's Day in 2006, but this one doesn't seem to be a joke. People were stumped as to what could have happened to him. A possibility is that he changed his clothes while in the bars. People didn't know he ever walked out on camera, but that wouldn't explain where he had gone. The scenes for this one are drastic from one another. One saying that maybe he's still alive and just under a new identity, and another one saying that he might have been killed by a smiley-face serial killer, although the smiley-face serial killer was only briefly considered seriously.
It was 1948 in Somerton, South Australia, where an unidentified body, dubbed the Somerton Man, was found on a beach. This case was dubbed the Tamam Shud case due to the fact that in his pocket, a ripped page from the book Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam was found reading those words. Tamam Shud means ended or finished. There's a lot to this story. It was at a time dubbed one of Australia's most profound mysteries. If you want the extra gritty details, I'd recommend further research into it.
Having your house catch on fire is a dire situation. Just seeing it can bring chills to people. And at the Sauter home on Christmas Eve in 1945, their home was destroyed by one. At the time George Sauter and his wife Jenny were there with 9 out of their 10 children. Only 4 of them escaped, but they've never been found. The family later on believed to have been shared a photo of what they believed to be one of their children, Lewis, still alive in the 60s. No one knows for sure though, besides whoever sent it.
Blank Room Soup is one of the earliest instances I had on the internet where I was left feeling sick and worried after watching a video. The video contains 2 men wearing creepy performance costumes and a man with his eyes censored, crying and whimpering, eating from a bowl of what many have believed to be human soup. A lesser known follow-up of this video is also online, where the man is eating with one of the men in costume stalking from behind. The second man joins him, staring, then runs full speed towards him. A whimper can be heard as the video cuts off. The costumes were made by Raymond S. Percy, aka Ray Ray. One night after a live performance using these suits, they were stolen, then used in a video. Ray Ray recalls he spent weeks teaching his actors the movements he wanted them to use, and that the people in the video mimicked the movements perfectly, meaning they'd been to multiple performances, stalking every movement. I just hope it's fake for everyone's sake.
From unsolved mysteries to unsolved computer problems, the P versus NP problem is a prize problem that has a prize of $1 million for whoever can give a solution to it. This is too long to summarize in its entirety, and for a lot the prize might be the most interesting part of the entry, so we'll leave a link to the Wikipedia page down below.
The Badge Man is the name given to an unknown figure seen in the famous Mary Moorman photo at the assassination of JFK. That's right. 2 JFK name drops in one iceberg. Researchers theorize this figure is firing a sniper rifle at the president. Even though an alleged muzzle flash covers details of this figure, he's been described as wearing a police uniform. Personally, I don't really see much in this one. The Markovian parallax denigrate is considered the earliest mystery on the internet. They were unexplainable walls of text posted on Usenet back in 1996. For some reason, people like to link them with Sad Satan, Cicada 3301, the Publius Enigma, and Unfavorable Semicircle. I generally don't think there's much to this one. To me, it's just some dick who wanted to spam the forums, but it could end up being wrong, you know. 11BX1371 is an early 2015 viral video that was sent to gadgets.com. The black and white segment is 2 minutes long. The title came from the plain text of a bass 64 string written on the DVD. Many people think it's connected to different things as means of promotion, such as the film adaptation of Dan Brown's novel Inferno, or that it was connected to Skrillex. Personally though, I believe it's nothing more than another student art project.
For anyone that thinks Scientology is a cult, this won't help the suspicion that Shelly Miscavige was the wife of Scientology leader David Miscavige. And much like a few other entries on this list, she's gone missing as well. Last time she was seen was August 2007. This disappearance was even brought up at Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' wedding. The Church of Scientology denies to truly comment on the whereabouts of Shelly, saying that the missing person report was false. Lawyers that represent Miscavige simply say she's only devoting her time to the church. Former members share the belief that she's being held against her will. Her father also died the same year as her disappearance, but this could also simply be a coincidence.
The Phoenix Lights were a series of sightings of UFOs seen in mass over Arizona, Nevada, and the Mexican state Sonora on March 13, 1997. Most accounts of them are the same, two distinct events. A triangular formation of lights seen passing over the state, and a series of stationary lights seen in the Phoenix area. This is the kind of UFO sighting you love to believe is true.
Green people are surprisingly popular. Look at Shrek or the Hulk. In the 12th century in Woolpit in Suffolk, England, 2 children were for some reason green. These children spoke an unknown language and only ate raw broad beans. Once they ate other foods though, they went back to a normal skin tone, suggesting it might have been caused by their diet. And sadly, the boy of the 2 children would die shortly after him and his sister were baptized. The girl would later on explain once she learned English that she and her brother come from a subterranean world called St. Martin's Land, which was populated by green people. Some believe it to simply be folklore, while others say it's just a garbled story. What's more likely? Probably made up. I never heard of somebody turning green, but I did hear about someone turning blue, so you never actually know in this world.
This one's always interested me. The largest buyer of glitter. In a New York Times interview, it was said in conversation between the reporter and a representative of GlitterX if he could know GlitterX's biggest market. The representative refused, much to the reporter's dismay. As Mark makes fun on Reddit proposed, one thing no one has mentioned. During the Iraq conflict, we, the US, apparently dumped material out of planes to cause intentional problems with electronics and electrical devices in the countries we were attacking. He goes on to suggest that they used glitter as but the Defense Department uses glitter, which would make sense for the secrecy. Like, yeah.
To add into all the other mysteries, here's a mystery website as well, Mortis.com. It was created in 1997 and had a login screen that was entirely hard to hack into if people want to know what's truly on it. Other things to it that would warrant people's attention is that it's linked to a dentist office, a lawyer, and a high-end security firm. And supposedly the file sizes for this site were huge, or at least at the time, adding even more of a mystery of what was on it. Allegedly, it was owned by a man named Thomas Ling, who had said that it held his wedding photos. Though, since the site is also linked to vacant lots and warehouses, and those were identified as having something to do with these sites were deceased, it makes the whole thing a larger mystery than it ever was before.
As embarrassed as I am, I actually forgot to write and record all my lines for Most Mysterious Song on the Internet, so it'd be nice just to say that I was gonna go and put the effort in and just do it myself, but instead I'm gonna say you should watch Wang's videos on it. I'll put like his channel thing on screen right now because like he made a really good thing on it. Yeah? Thank you. Thank you for understanding that I'm a lazy fuck. I'm not a lazy fuck. I edited all this video. This is the biggest edit I've done in my life. Thank you.
The Impemba effect is just the catch-all term for possible cases in which hot water appears to freeze faster than cold water. This one doesn't match the rest, does it? I don't know why it's here. I'm really confused, honestly. Septic Tank Sam is an unfortunate nickname to an unidentified murder victim who was, of course, found in a septic tank. He is believed to be a migrant worker who was only put in the septic tank as a hiding place since he couldn't find any evidence within the tank itself. The body had gunshots in the head and chest. It is also believed that he was tortured with torches, cigarettes, as well as being sexually mutilated with farm shears. The sexual mutilation was so intense that it took months just to be able to tell he was a male. Quick saline was poured over him to hasten the decomposing process to be harder to identify and such. And this was probably the most disgusting and graphic thing on this iceberg.
This is a bit of an improv outro. I spent a lot of time working on this, so if you liked it, please like, comment, let me know what you think. And if you liked us enough, subscribe. We usually do gaming content, but if we're thinking of like moving over to scripted things more often. Check the description for sources and shit like that, and in the pinned comment I will be linking my friend Lewis's channel. He's working on a Mortal Kombat Iceberg, if I remember right. Thanks for watching. It means so much, like seeing how we've kind of blown up over the past week with the last video. We're just hoping the same for this. Just love you guys. Bye.